The must have failed. In air crash investigations, there's nothing called it could have been. It must have happened like this. Somebody might have done this. No. You never say anything until the entire exercise is over, because more often than not, you get it absolutely wrong, 180 degrees. This has happened in many crashes. And you said the first thing is, are people scared to travel? Yes, after any kind of traumatic experience or crash, everybody, we are all humans, and we would have a little bit of an anxiety with respect to travel. Now, this is compounded by the fact that the media today is so powerful that they are in your face, and there is a TRP race as well. And so you are sort of competing with your other channels to bring out something as quickly as possible. Fair enough. That's the nature of the beast. Now, what happens is sometimes these have undesirable consequences. One of the undesirable consequences is everybody gets scared. You see, the enormity of the situation is such that the management of Air India has suddenly been saddled with AirAsia, Vistara, Indian Airlines, Air India Express. 5 different type of airlines have been combined and shoved down their throat. Was it a rational exercise? Maybe, maybe not. Was it a strategic exercise, or was it a forced exercise? We don't know. Now, overnight, you can't have expertise into managing an airline, particularly something as big as Air India. You see, there's a human factor as well in this. Integration of the machines, tough. Integration of humans and getting the entire ecosystem right, very near impossible. No, we cannot say that. I know for sure it's not a pilot error, but I will not come out and say that the same, because it's not the correct thing to do. Personally, if you're asking me, I know it's not pilot error, because a lot of things are people said that, and very distinguished people with good credentials said that he took off without flaps. Please be advised, there is an electronic checklist, ECL. It doesn't allow you to take off without flaps. The closed circuit doesn't complete. So, air crash investigation is a specialized job. And civil air crash investigation is completely different from handling a court of inquiry in a MiG-21 crash.
And
that is different.
According to what you're saying, India doesn't have experts to handle this kind of an air accident.
They do have experts, but they are never called. Let's go by the evidence then. Let's see what happened in the Calicut crash. There was a report submitted. Scathing report are sometimes submitted after every crash. And they give also, based on those reports, certain recommendations are given. Now, have ever these recommendations ever been implemented? Never.
Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one-stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought-provoking conversations. Now, according to the investigators who are investigating into the ill-fated Ahmedabad air crash of Air India, there are reports coming in and which are clearly saying that apparently Air India Boeing Dreamliner had its emergency power generator operating when it crashed last week in Ahmedabad. Now, this is according to a report which has come out in Wall Street Journal. And of course, Boeing has said that it will defer to the India's Aircraft Accident Investigation Bureau for comment. So far, we haven't got any comment. Neither has the Aviation Ministry commented on it. So I thought of speaking on this. And also, there are several reports of Air India withdrawing its fleet. Then there is a call from the opposition reporting about mismanagement of Air India. Hasn't the privatization worked? All these are questions which are begging for answers because everyone is scared to travel by Air India since the time this mishap has taken place. Joining me this evening is a very special guest, Captain Sam Thomas, who is the president of the Airlines Pilots Association. He's currently flying Gulfstream G200 and he has a huge experience of flying about 13,000 hours. He's flown Boeing 737, 777 and is rated on 787 as well. Sam, it's wonderful to have you on the program today. And I'll begin with this Wall Street Journal report where it said that the emergency generating system or the emergency power generating system was on just before the crash. What does it really mean? And also given the fact that people had started blaming the crew, the people had started blaming the pilots, what would you really say to what Wall Street has reported?
Ma'am, thank you very much. Let's go one by one to each of these issues. And the Alpha India promise is that we will answer each of those issues. And I like the first statement where you said the truth be told. Well, that's exactly what you're going to get from us. Now, let's start off with the scenario right now. See, each of this crash is very traumatic, not only to the traveling public, to the public at large. Now, there is a shock factor, then there's an anger, then there's resignation, and then there's something called a John Wayne syndrome where you wish you could have done something. So we'll address each of these as we go along. Now, the Wall Street Journal that talked about emergency power. Now, there is an English play in all of these. Nobody knows whether the emergency, firstly, there's no emergency power. It sounds like a house UPS, It's not that. What they're talking about is the ram air turbine. Ram air turbine is something that deploys when everything else of the airplane is almost lost. So that is a propeller that's connected to a generator, and that will give you some amount of flight controls, some amount of electrics, and a very few hydraulics. So that is what people are talking about. Now, all these are based on a very grainy footage taken from a mobile phone.
Okay.
Now, if you see, the NTSB or anybody in Wall Street has
not said. Interrupt you for a few seconds. So this emergency response system, which people are talking about, is nothing but RAT. What you are saying could be on after the two engines must have failed.
Yes, that's the key. Now, the must have failed. In air crash investigations, there's nothing called it could have been. It must have happened like this. Somebody might have done this. No. You never say anything until the entire exercise is over, because more often than not, you get it absolutely wrong, 180 degrees. This has happened in many crashes. Now, we understand the anxiety for people to know what is happening. And you said the first thing is, are people scared to travel? Yes, after any kind of traumatic experience or crash, everybody, we are all humans, and we would have a little bit of an anxiety with respect to travel. Now, this is compounded by the fact that the media today is so powerful that they are in your face, and there is a TRP race as well. And so you are sort of competing with your other channels to bring out something as quickly as possible. Fair enough. That's the nature of the beast. Now, what happens is sometimes these have undesirable consequences. One of the undesirable consequences is everybody gets scared. You remember during the COVID time, there used to be somebody who comes up on news and says 1,000 people died today, 2,000 people died tomorrow, 500 are going to die in the evening. That spooks the public. Now, that is the first part of your question. Now, there is a sort of, anger within the public, and you want to hold somebody accountable. Doesn't matter. Now, this is mob mentality. So it doesn't matter who it is. Can we get Mr. Chandrasekhar? Is Mr. Tata around? Unfortunately, he is not around. If he had been there, people would have gone after him as well. So our appeal is, please stay calm, take a step back. Whatever you do right now is not going to be rational. Now we'll go into the second part of what you asked, is the management of Air India on the tops. Now, let's stop the blame game and understand what they have to go through. You see, the enormity of the situation is such that the management of Air India has suddenly been saddled with Air Asia, Vistara, Indian Airlines, Air India Express. 5 different type of airlines have been combined and shoved down their throat. Was it a rational exercise? Maybe, maybe not. Was it a strategic exercise or was it a forced exercise? We don't know. But you see what the management of Air India has to deal with now. They will take time. Nobody has given them.
But Sam, just allow me to interrupt you. Whether this was a forced exercise or not, in the face of a mishap like this, people will tend to ask questions because it's something which is related to the safety of the passengers. If today we are asking questions, is Air India safe for flying? Should we fly by Air India? What has gone wrong with Air India? Is there some kind of a mismanagement? These questions are bound to happen, and they will come up.
100%. And you are justified in asking these questions. Now, when you don't get the replies, you see in a corporate structure, you just don't go ask the CEO of an airline and say, tell me what happened, tell me right now. So whatever you say then gets into a chain, and that's a chain of information. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yes.
So that kind of thing, and they're playing it strategically, and they will have to go back, and you just cannot give out statements randomly. So Mr. Campbell Wilson and Mr. Chandrasekhar, if they are out on the road somewhere, somebody might do something to them. That's the kind of mob frenzy that's happening, which is unfair. You look at the enormity of the situation that they have to deal with. How are they going to deal with? Do they have the expertise? Now, overnight, you can't have expertise into managing an airline, particularly something as big as Air India. You see, there's a human factor as well in this. Integration of the machines, tough. Integration of humans and getting the entire ecosystem right, very near impossible. And you know how it works with.
No, but if one is trying to cover up these inadequacies in the face of a mishap like this, then that's also very unfair. People should know what has gone wrong and why they are taking so much of time to answer. That's another logical question which people will ask. Now, was there mismanagement? And I'm not talking about, and I'm not even wanting to blame the pilots or the crew. What went wrong? Was it a technical snag? Was it a bird hit? Everybody is speculating as of now. But this Wall Street Journal story, this is the latest development in the air crash which has happened. What would you really say? Are we still going to wait for what the black box investigations would reveal, or this itself is a revelation in itself? What Wall Street is talking about, that the rat was active before the air crash. Is this the latest development as far as the causes behind the air crash is concerned, or if you could arrive at some conclusion?
Ma'am, you can ask any number of questions, but like you yourself said, unless the investigation is over, it's all speculation. Now, we are enamored by Wall Street Journal, American TikToker, and, whatever they say seem to be, accepted more within our, and everybody is giving genuine explanations within the confines of their intellect. Okay. So that does not mean that it is correct. Even the Wall Street Journal that is saying is very speculative, and they have not said, they feel that the rat was deployed. Okay. From that grain, all of us know there's a good chance that that's correct. But that is not the cause of the crash. The cause of the crash is something that we are yet to figure out. And the alarming part is, in all crashes, India has a very limited role to play, and somebody who is not in the sector is generally in charge of that exercise. Now, the NTSB is here. The UK is here. Why are they here investigating an air crash in India? Don't we have the expertise? The black box is being taken to America. In the 90s, we've had the technology to download black boxes, and if we can go all the way to Mars, we can go to the south pole of the moon. Don't you think we have the technology to do it here? Now, what we are asking for
That's
is
one gray area. Sam, you're pointing out this one gray area that there is no technology to find out what the black box really says, and you have no option, or India rather doesn't have an option, but to export this black box to some other country.
no, not that. We have the technology. Okay. The Americans or who the manufacturers have convinced us that you can't do it, we can do it better. Now, there is a clear conflict of interest there. You see, it's an American airplane. It's a Boeing airplane. And you're giving it's like me making you write a question paper or the answer paper to a question paper and then giving it to you saying, go and correct it. So that's not done so there's a conflict of interest. Not that they can't do a good job. That's not done. Now, here is where the expertise from India needs to come in and ask relevant questions. And we are saying, put it on television. The Supreme Court of India's proceedings sometimes are on television. The high courts, many of them are television. What is the problem in putting this out? You will get a very transparent sort of inquiry done. There will be no scope for any malafide intent or any speculation. But you'll be amazed that when the DFDR readout comes out, how much it is different from what you initially thought. Didn't we all talk about pilot error? So convincingly explained that the pilot is so ignorant that instead of the gear, he took the flap. So, and everybody lapped it up. Do you know what consequences that had on the families of the crew and crew in general? So these are the reasons why we are saying that it's not possible for Wall Street Journal or Bloomberg or anybody to come and say that I saw this clip and I feel this has happened. That's the First Amendment. I mean, you can say whatever you want and get away with it, but factually, that would be the farthest from the truth.
But any speculations? You are still flying an aeroplane, and you're flying internationally, and your flying experience, what does it show? Have you seen a mishap like this, an aviation disaster like this, where it's almost like a week now? 12th of June it happened, and it's almost like 7 days or a little more, and we yet do not know the cause of the air crash. How long does it take actually to arrive at a conclusion, or how much more time, if I may ask, it would take?
See, most air crash investigations take about 6 to 8 months. The best ones.
Okay.
So
this is the minimalist
minimum
timeline you're looking at.
Minimum. A best of investigators. Everything is going good. Your DFDR, CVR are in best condition. And all the eyewitnesses have been identified. Their statements have been taken. The air traffic control and their transcripts are taken. It follows a chain. The team is divided. One team goes to the air traffic control. One team goes with the engine manufacturer. One team with the airframe. Things like that. The duties are divided. And that is where we need the expertise. So to expect something in 7 days is not practical. It has never been done in the world ever.
Okay. I think people are too, over expecting because of the anxiety, because of the enormity of the losses which have been borne by the people. But according to you, and since you're already flying, what could be the reason? Or you still would say that you cannot speculate on anything at the moment, at least? Is it a bird hit, an engine failure, or it could be something else? I don't know. I mean, you would be in a better position to explain to me that.
All these theories have been doing the rounds. Now, they are theories, and as a part of accident investigation, you never speculate. Be that as it may, yes, people have said bird hit. People have said, that pilot error. People have said dual engine failure. May be correct, may not be correct. But we are not seeing evidence of all this.
But
And more.
wouldn't you rule out the pilot error completely, according to whatever details are coming out? Or you would still say that it could be a pilot error also?
No, we cannot say that. I know for sure it's not a pilot error. But I will not come out and say that the same, because it's not the correct thing to do. Personally, if you're asking me, I know it's not pilot error. Because a lot of things are people said that, and very distinguished people with good credentials said that he took off without flaps. Please be advised, there is an electronic checklist, ECL. It doesn't allow you to take off without flaps. The closed circuit doesn't complete without the flaps. Now, if you override it, still, when you put takeoff power, the aircraft screams back at you saying that there is a takeoff configuration error. So you cannot miss all these. And so to suggest that they took off without flaps is, bordering on foolishness. Yes. So.
But keeping aside the technical aspects, because we do not know, the investigation is still on, but people still are pointing at a conspiracy angle. And that conspiracy angle came because Sarah Adams, who's associated with the CIA, she, I don't know, out of anger or whatever, she had come out with a tweet that something dastardly is going to happen on the Indian soil. And that she pointed out on 9th of June, and this accident took place on 12th of June. Now, if I may ask you, that could it be a conspiracy as well? Could it be a sabotage? That's what everyone is asking.
Ma'am, these you are in the journalism field, and you know that this so-called CIA, FBI, Secret Service, they surface from time to time. If they have this brilliant vision, why didn't they tell us about the Pahalgam issue as well, so that we could have saved those 26 people as well? It's very easy to make some kind of statement. I can also sit here and say that 45 whales are going to die this year near the Arctic. So if it happens, good. If it doesn't happen, nobody knows. So conspiracy theory, every incident, right from the time that Neil Armstrong went to the moon, there is a conspiracy theory attached to everything. That's the nature of the beast again. We like to speculate. People like to say a lot of things. And with the advent of social media, it has given strength to so many closet experts that it's unbelievable. And we have several group of pilots on WhatsApp. We have one group of 1,000 and another 700, 1,500. Each time something like this comes up, that day is made. I mean, it's so laughable that, we can sort of share that and spend the entire evening. Pilots in service are prevented from talking to the media. And that is the reason why they would never come on media. But if they were allowed to come on media, a lot of these experts would be, shredded with their theories. But it's exciting. Even I like to discuss conspiracy theories, and it's always there. Who took away the Malaysian Air 370? That has stopped now. Everybody, including some vegetable vendor somewhere, has seen the pilot. So we've been through that. We've been through the entire investigation of Malaysian 370 and the German wings. So we know how that happens. And as IFALPA and the member associate, we are privy to a lot of information. But that information is professionally given, professionally obtained. And we just cannot go and speculate on this. I mean, I've used the word speculate so many times that I don't know now if I can use that anymore. But then I'll try and answer as much as I understand from where you're coming, the anxiety of the public, the anxiety of journalists, news and everything. We'll try and answer all of that in a way that we can and within our limitations. And like we promised, it's going to be nothing but the truth.
No, but as of now, you would completely dismiss the sabotage or the conspiracy angle as of now. That's what you're saying.
No, I don't know. I'm just saying that it could be sabotage. It could be anything. But I'm not in a position right now because firstly, the investigation has not even begun. a board needs to be constituted first. So people are saying the investigation board had said this, we got this info, the board is not yet convened. So what was done there also...
But isn't the process delayed if the board, even after a week, if the board has not been convinced, is it not a delayed process? The delay could be for reasons X, Y, Z. I'm not getting into that. But if the board also hasn't been constituted in the first week itself, then God help it.
Well, yes, God has to play a lot of part in this. However, you're right. You see, if you have a professional accident investigation body, then they could have got into action. The NTSB, National Transportation Safety Board of the FAA, the US, they will come. They are there for the last 30, 40 years. They will come. In India, you don't have that. You have the name of Air Accident Investigation Bureau. Who heads that? Nobody knows. I know who heads it, but is he somebody who's a qualified air accident investigator? No.
Just hold on, Sam, because I want to speak to you on this. There are bodies which are not headed by experts, and I want to dwell on this. If you could elaborate it a little, if you could just compartmentalize that, look, this is the body where such and such person is heading, but he doesn't have the expertise. This is the next body which is associated with any airline disaster, which should be looking into it. It's headed by a wrong person. So which means that we do not have the experts heading committees or organizations like these, which will look into any air crash or any aviation disaster if it has happened.
Ma'am, not just air crash investigation.
Is that a weak link?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the weak link, not a weak link. So, not just the aviation sector. You see, you have the bureaucracy and you have no subject matter experts in that. Today, an officer is in the agricultural ministry. Tomorrow, he's in the animal husbandry ministry. Third day, he comes to civil aviation ministry.
Let's forget the other ministries. Let's talk about aviation related organizations. And Sam, I want you to talk about it since we are talking the truth. Supposing an air mishap has happened last week, and now which are the bodies which should be very, very active at this point of time, but because of these bureaucratic straddles, they've not been able to get any kind of headway. I want you to speak on this.
AAIB, which is the Air Accident Investigation Bureau, their preliminary requirement is that the investigators have 20 years of experience. Now, the AAIB has been constituted like every other body in India post some incident happening. Before that, we never constitute anything. And constituting a body is something that we do as an exercise to pacify the public. We have these inquiry commissions. So now the AAIB came out in 2012. Post that, I think there was one major accident, if I remember correctly, that was the Calicut crash. They came out overnight. They were looking for investigators. Where are you going to get the investigators? They're not there. Now you look for somebody who is from the Indian Air Force. Now, firstly, the first head of AAIB was an ex-Air Force officer. Now, this body somehow end up being a rehabilitation center for retired Air Force officers. So, it doesn't really serve the purpose. They can talk eloquently and talk about court of inquiry, undercarriage, barber pole, and this, that, and which will confuse the public. They've got nothing to do with merit. So, air crash investigation is a specialized job. And civil air crash investigation is completely different from handling a court of inquiry in a MiG-21 crash.
And
that is different.
According to what you're saying, India doesn't have experts to handle this kind of an air accident.
They do have experts, but they are never called.
That's where the problem is. That's where the problem is.
Correct. Now, there are big forces at play here. If I were to go in for an air crash investigation and I'll give you threadbare as to what has happened, I may not be called the next time. In fact, my report may be set aside.
No,
because
then that, Sam, if you are pointing this out, this is the biggest problem in the system. that the people who are
Absolutely.
holding the expertise, they are not called, or if they at all submit their reports will be sidelined. So which means that the government or the system is simply playing with the lives of the people. And if an air crash or an air accident has taken place, we will never get to the bottom of the truth ever.
Let's go by the evidence then. Let's see what happened in the Calicut crash. There was a report submitted. Scathing report are sometimes submitted after every crash. And they give also, based on those reports, certain recommendations are given. Now, have ever these recommendations ever been implemented? Never. Never. And let's go with some bare basic things. If you remember the visuals of the Calicut crash, the public were inside the airport lifting out passengers and taking them on auto rickshaws to the hospital. You know, on an impact, how much of spinal injury could be there, and these people who are not trained are dealing with this. They did it in good faith. Now, these are good Samaritans. Nobody is blaming them. Where were the fire tenders? Where were the emergency rescue people? Where were the ambulances? Why didn't even one ambulance get there? Where is that airport director? Is he held responsible? So, you're right. And whatever comments are being made on the basis of evidence. Only evidence based, I can make this statement, but otherwise, we'll just wait and watch.
This is a very sad state of affairs, and it clearly shows that the system is not equipped. There is no political will within the system to even rectify the things, and so many mishaps have happened. But if always, there's going to be like a wishy-washy job to cover up certain things, then which means that the lives of our people who are flying is very, very cheap for the system. They don't care. They care two hoots about it.
Ma'am, not just flying. Life in general in India is not as...
No, I'm specifically talking about the air safety right now and how seriously the system is taking it up. With so much of anger, so much of anxiety, people are fuming over what has happened. And if this is what you are telling us and you are within the system, you feel it. And I can read the pain on your face when you say all this. So how does one respond to this then?
No, see, like every other problem that India has overcome, this too shall pass. There will be a day when this whole system of safety. See, let's just tell you that the safety culture in aviation mirrors the safety culture in our culture itself. We are not a very safety conscious culture. Do you see people driving on the wrong side of the road with their children, 4 children on a school? What goes through that child? That child thinks that's normal. You see? So these things, we do not respect the law. If you're Delhi based, can you stand at the traffic signal and just watch the number of people who will dodge the signal? Not that they need to get caught but those are small things, but that's ingrained in us. So to suddenly expect you to become a specialist in safety, you'll have to, really dig deep down.
Sam, but how do you sensitize the system that they need to be very, very careful? They need to be safety conscious. They need to be maintenance conscious, because there is no maintenance culture. There is no safety culture. How do you sensitize the governments? How do you sensitize the systems? How do you sensitize those corporates who are taking up, like Tata Group, which took over Air India? And now there are questions that, why was it a forced exercise, as what you pointed out initially? I mean, they had much more on the platter than they could handle, it seems now.
Correct. We should be fair to them as well. We should give them time. In this time, you don't know what all could happen because, like I said, I very simply put the enormity of the situation to you. There are different type of airplanes, different manufacturers. You see, it's not just what people think is that the aircraft completely belongs to Boeing. Not complete. The airframe, the design, and most of it belongs to Boeing, but the engine belongs to GE. You could have a separate engines as well. The Pratt & Whitney. You see, the Pratt & Whitney engines had such a lot of problems when they were on the Airbus Neo. So engine developers are trying to manufacture more and more engines that are fuel efficient. Now, when a new engine comes up, it comes with teething problems. Somehow, because of the increase in air travel, these things are showing up with much more regularity, and the media being so powerful is able to get it to you in real time. That is what is overwhelming the complete system right now. But having said that, maintenance, Air India or Tata, it's not in their hands completely. They have to comply with DGCA regulations. There is no scope, there's no shortcut. It's very difficult to shortcut maintenance. And in India, the maintenance, see, I've flown in India, I've flown in the US, I have a bit of it in Europe. In India, the maintenance is far, far higher than what it is in both these continents. So to say that they didn't have or there was some shortcuts taken during maintenance, it's not possible. No, yes, there will be theories coming out.
It's heartening to hear that at least the maintenance is better as compared to the other nations. But my last question, because we have a limited duration. There's a lot of talk as to how there is a corporate war playing out after this Ahmedabad air crash. And there is an effort to malign Boeing because Airbus also wants to get into this. Do you as a pilot also feel that there is some kind of a corporate war playing out post this Ahmedabad air crash?
Ma'am, these corporate wars have been going on since the 60s. I've been an inadvertent part of it. I know how I, say that Boeing is something, because I fly the Boeing aircraft. I have some time on the simulator of the Airbus. Now, I am confused. But these both companies are large companies and they will not miss a chance to outdo the other. So while on the face of it, they present a lot of good things, these are two corporates, and corporates do go to war. This is the present way of civilized war. And if I see my competitor is slightly down, I will do everything to see that, I get the upper hand. That's exactly what is happening. And fair competition. I may not be ethical, but fair competition.
One last question before I wind up the interview, Sam, that a lot of people are scared now. But what about the safety? You yourself are flying Boeing. How safe is that? Because that is the biggest question which everyone is asking. Is it safe to fly on a Boeing or a Dreamliner? Because
at the moment, absolutely safe.
Yeah.
Absolutely safe. Absolutely safe. Till 1 week back, you never even brought up this question. I know that I brought up I was a vociferous critic of the MAX because I didn't like the way that the investigation were held, because Boeing swayed those investigations in their manner. Finally, they got caught, and their own congressional hearing sort of shredded them so badly. But if you're asking, is it safe to fly? Absolutely safe to fly. In fact, you should fly. There is, in the Indian Army's para regiments, if there's an accident, if there's one para, that's the airborne, if there is an accident, the very next day they do something phenomenal. Everybody, including the CEO, do a skydive, a jump off the aircraft, so that thing is buried right there. So here, it's not as scary. 787s, 777s, A320s, they are very, very, very safe. Don't get spooked by all these things. Yes, we must question. You're well within your rights to question, and you're well within your rights to demand answers. And I believe you should get these answers in a transparent manner. And every investigation should be done in a transparent manner. So cheers. You're doing a massively good job.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm glad there were so many doubts in the minds of the people. And you also shed some very important light on how the expertise in India lacks. We are not going in the right direction. Those things which you pointed out really can awaken anyone. But will the system awaken? That is the biggest question. Will we still compromise with the safety of the passengers? Should we do that? On that note, I'll just end this interview. Thank you, Sam, once again. And be safe is all what I can say. Thank you very much.
Always, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you. Bye.